Everybody's here. Declare the meeting open. Appreciate everybody coming on this November evening. It's a city council meeting. At this time, if you'll stand with me for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you'll pray with me, please. Father God, we just pray and ask that you be with our first responders, that you give us wisdom to do the business of the city this evening with clarity and with purpose. We just thank you for your hand of protection, and Father, just keep us safe as our numbers continue to rise. Father, we just pray that you'll lay your hand on our city and just cure us of this virus. We pray for peace. We pray for wisdom. Father, we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. The council, if you have an opportunity to look over the city council meeting minutes of October 19th.
Move to approve the minutes for October 19th, 2020.
Second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, council. All right, at this time, we're going to have a office. Right. That's Darren Paul and Josh Stevens. Down to the front, please.
Thanks. It's not right.
I will faithfully execute the duties of city council member, city of Sherman, state of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and this state. So help me God.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. How'd you know? That's funny. Oh, now that was worth clapping for. I love Grace.
Okay, now we're to the council election of deputy mayor. We usually run through by tenure. It falls to Councilman Holland this time.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion the Councilman Holland be deputy mayor.
I'll second that.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, so okay, number 2, citizen comments. Does anyone have any comments on the agenda items this evening? Okay, we are to the consent agenda. We do need to delete item I5, which has been tabled by the applicant. So the consent agenda items are to be considered routine and acted on motion without discussion unless the council member or citizen requests a specific item be discussed and voted on separately. The consent agenda includes items G3, G4, G5, H1, H6, and all 7. Would anybody like to remove any of these for any reason?
I move for approval of the consent agenda if no one wants anything pulled.
Second.
Motion second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Thank you. Okay. This time we'll open the public hearing. Linda, do you want to read that one for us, please?
Ordinance 6333, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman, amending Section 8, subsection 5A, ordinance Steve Weber Jr., LLC owners, and Maria Jeffrey as providing that this specific use permit shall be granted subject to certain conditions, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000. Finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Good afternoon.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This item is for a specific use permit to allow microblading permanent makeup use in a C1 district. P&Z approved this item unanimously to approve the SUP.
Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item? Now, we close public hearing and consider the adoption of the ordinance. Council, any questions, comments, discussion?
As always, I would like to suggest that we keep it with the applicant. So I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance number 6333 with the contingency that it stays with the applicant.
Okay, very good. Second. Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. Thank you. Here to propose resolution 667. Please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing execution of a development agreement with Bridgestone Construction for the construction of public facilities in Parkhaven Estates Phase 2, a 9.994 acre development east of South Baker Park Drive and north of west of Center Street in the City of Sherman. Finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed is noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Evening, Mayor, Council. This is a 40 single family residential lot development. They'll be installing about 1,600 feet of new roadway as well as water main, about 1,100 feet of wastewater main, storm sewer, all for our standards.
Council, questions, discussions? And when has work already begun? Sir.
There may be some grading going on, but a little bit of white grading. 40.
So it's my understanding they're not asking the city for anything. They're doing this all on their own. They're paying for the streets, the roads, the sewer, and the...
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I move to approve.
Okay. Motion second. Any other questions?
Who seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We propose resolution 6671.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing the execution of a standard form of agreement between owner and architect between the City of Sherman and Ideal and Associates Architects Incorporated for the design of the new Sherman Police Department headquarters. Finding the meeting at which this resolution is passed is noticed and sent to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Good evening, Chief.
Mayor, Council. So this contract with Aaron, which y'all are all familiar with, has been with us for a few years now, working on different phases of different projects. This is to secure services for essentially 2 phases of the contract so that we can get the design complete to where it's essentially a shovel-ready project that we can bring back to you to approve the last phase. It's about a $770,000 contract. It's within the budget, what we budgeted for. And again, this is just based upon council direction at the budget workshop to get this designed to this point.
The only other thing I'd say is obviously this goes in concert with the CMET where this is out on the street right now. So we would be working with them to develop the scope of the project, to give them the accurate level of detail that they can price it out at an accurate level, which would then be brought back.
So, since you do have, you are conducting a lot of our design here out in Sherman, are you creating a kind of a look for us, a theme maybe?
I think so, absolutely. I mean, we're going to want to have it as a cohesive design that's going to work with other municipal facilities that have been passed and would be designed in the future. So we're certainly taking that into account during the design phase.
Mayor, the other thing I would add is since Aaron has sat on numerous meetings now, he understands what we mean when we say we want these facilities to be the right amount of nice. right? So and that's different, from city to city, but we want a product that we can be proud of, yet that is a balance between the use of taxpayer funds and, functional and functionality and all that. So Aaron gets that. He was led on our library project, which I think was the right amount of nice, and so he's taking that same approach on these other projects.
Yeah, just to add on to that, that's one of the reasons why, as the police department, we look and work with them. So we've done so to the point now that we've been able to vet through several different things. We look to come back to the council late next month, for the first part of January, with really our first opportunity to give more direction on a little bit to what you had to say as far as some of the design.
I have a question that has come up with the coverage that we're getting because of with the new police department. And that is, I keep getting asked, and so I just want to go on the record, what are we going to do with the old police department? It is not just going to be an empty building downtown. I don't care which one of you wants to answer, but just so we can get it on, kind of on the record again.
So Robbie has already approached Aaron and I about that exact situation. And Aaron and I, along with the team at the police department, have worked to really look at different city functions that can fit in there. We think that the direction that we'll head, kind of as a high-level view for you, is something that's not necessarily public-facing. Support services of the city that don't necessarily have to interact with the public every day, because we understand that it's just not very public-friendly from an entrance-exit parking situation. And so we think we definitely have plenty of services that can fit that, and we've talked more specifically about what those might be. We've got a little bit more work to do on that, but we've already begun to look into what could fit in that space.
But we don't have plans to mothball it and just it be an empty building. Is maybe the takeaway there.
Yes. So I have a question for maybe Robbie or Chief. You, 770, that's a portion of the contract. This would also be committing us for an additional 164 out of a different funding source.
Yeah. So there's really kind of two main elements broken up into three parts. The two elements that we're asking for and have the dollars for today are the design, engineering, etc. So you may see in your write-up that those we separated some of those. One being 660,000, I think, and the other whatever the difference is, 140,000. 630,000 and 140,000. That's for design and for civil technologies and other things. Part two to that is construction management, which we're not ready to award or even do anything because, number one, we don't have your approval to construct anything right now. Number two, we don't even know what to construct because he's busy designing it. So what we would plan on doing is at a later meeting coming to you to get your approval. Although this contract covers that entire menu of services, before we spend the dollars on construction management, we would need council approval to actually construct something. So
the question I was going to follow up with that on the 770, I know we didn't budget for this particular project in our last fiscal year budget. So is this something you guys are pulling away from funds that were allocated for other projects?
So we didn't budget for the construction of the police department in this budget that we're in. We did budget for two main components in this current year that we're in. One, we took care of 2 or 3 meetings ago, which was the purchase of this site. The second is the design services.
Okay, so this was included.
So the design portion of that was budgeted in the fiscal year 21 budget.
At about $800,000, so it's within that. And so the last comment I would just make is that I think it's just us doing our part, being due diligent, and having time to do that. I think it would be appropriate for us to, not that we would try to use a different firm, but for us to put this out for bid so that we can get a fair assessment from other architectural firms with no intention of using one different, but I think it's our responsibility for the citizens of Sherman to get a fair price quote in the market.
You're saying like an RF, for professional services, I guess it'd be an RFQ?
RFQ, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, when we're spending almost $1 million, I just think, I don't know that, can you give me an example? Maybe that's a better question. Can you give me an example of what we've done something of this magnitude where we haven't put it out for bid?
So, and just for clarity purposes, I mean, we do some engineering work that way. So, professional services such as engineers, architects, probably attorneys would fit in that.
Separate statutes.
So, so those would be examples of that. From an engineering standpoint, Tom and Clint, we do that. We've done that as well.
The state law prohibits the acquisition of professional services based on bidding. So even if we did an RFQ, you can't ask them what their fee is going to be until you pick the qualified firm. And then once you pick the qualified firm, they submit what their fee is. And so you can't, that's a state requirement. So in essence, we have worked with different firms in the past, and because of his specific qualifications relating to interaction with council and on this project specifically, that's why he chose. And then he came up with the
Fair enough. So you can't bid the fees out anyways?
You can't.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's
on engineering services, testing services, and architectural services, so you can't bid that out.
But to your point, had we, in our discussions with Aaron, had we determined or felt that his fees were out of line, then we could have said, okay, hey, we're going to pump the brakes, talk to some more architectural firms to see if we can come to some terms of
Yeah,
agreement.
if I may add too, just to that point, throughout researching this project, so I've been approached by numerous architects who say, hey, I do police stations, this is the thing I do. And so in talking with them and Aaron and seeing the things that they've done, I would honestly prefer to go this route. If I hadn't, I'd tapped the brakes and said something. Because as soon as they see the potential for this, my email is attacked by people looking to perform different services like that. And I've come across them, met them, and seen the work that they've done. And I have a confidence in Aaron and his understanding of the project that we're looking at.
That makes me feel a little better about it, knowing that we can't bid the price anyway, so.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
One other metric I look at, and I know, our engineering staff does the same. Engineering's slightly different because they have this curve. I won't get off on that, but this kind of industry curve that they kind of build their fees on. And we're expecting. I don't want to back into the number here, Aaron. So, but the project's probably going to be a $13 to $15 million project, construction wise, something along those lines. So the fee here ends up being, 6% of that number is the $900,000. So we're somewhere in that 5, 6, 7%, which again is just in our scope of the other projects that we've done over the last few years is in that range. And so we select him based on qualifications. We compare his firm's bid to where it is percentage-wise as a percentage of the total budget and projected budget, and make sure it's in line with others. So we do look at it just to make sure, just to kind of keep Aaron honest, right? But they've done a great job for us, and he's already. I think I can say that he's already done a substantial amount of work. Just knowing that, hey, he's so Johnny on the spot to get these projects done. He understands that in order for us to back into being able to have this project to bring to you guys in the workshop, we had to start kind of ahead of time. Kind of taking a risk there, really, is what he was doing. But was willing to take that risk, because it was the right thing to do to keep us on track, I believe. So
We're somewhat under budget already.
So
We're under budget right now. It won't be approved, so.
Yeah.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Linda, if you'll read I-1 for us, please.
Consider approval of the annexation schedule plan for adoption of approximately 46.339 acres located west of FM 1417, north of Obie Groner Road and east of Rolling Hill Drive, adjacent to the Sherman City limits of the city of Sherman's extraterritorial jurisdiction, and directing the Department of Engineering Services to develop a service plan for the area to be annexed, and approval of the annexation scheduling plan.
Yeah, this is, and just so you hopefully caught the correction there, this was written up as though it were south of Obie Groner, but it's actually just north of Obie Groner, as you can see here on the map. On the map, you see the location of the new Sherman High School, and then the property immediately to the west of that is ours. So this tract highlighted in yellow would be bringing it at the request of the property owner into the city for future development, most likely of some commercial and maybe multifamily of varying flavors to the city. The other thing about annexations, as we have been consulting with our new attorneys, are the process actually is more streamlined than we've been doing it in the past now. So we actually can take 2 meetings total to do an annexation. One is this meeting setting the kind of setting the schedule for it, and the second is actually having the public hearing and adopting it at the same meeting. So if you guys approve this particular agenda item, it would be for consideration at a future council meeting, and will be done after that one council meeting for voluntary annexations, which is what this one falls into.
Council, questions, discussion?
I move to approve.
Second. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. All right. This time we'll receive a presentation from Development Services Director Rob Ray, AICP, on proposed changes to the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 3, Building Regulations. Rob, can you?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Junior, I'm going to get this right this time.
Oh, right.
Whoa!
Junior, thank you. All right. Back in the budget work session, you all heard from Fire Marshal Billy Hartsfield on some of the code updates that the fire department wanted to participate in. As part of that update, we were tasked with on the building side, looking at also the residential code, the building codes, for everything outside of the fire code as well. So this is a really brief update on where we're at on that, and just some background. Chapter 3 was last updated for building code of year of 2011. Or I'm sorry, it was updated in 2011 for the code year of 2009. What that consists of is the International Residential Code, Building Code, Electrical, Fuel Gas, Mechanical, Plumbing, Energy Conservation, Fire. You all heard from Fire Marshal Billy before. Many builders in the area are starting to use the 2018 Building Code already, just because our partners to the south are already requiring this. And so we're having that as already an issue of just using that updated code. In addition, staff recommends updating to the 2018 code books, and for electrical, it's actually a different manual, and Texas has already updated to the 2020 code for NEC. That's the electrical code. There are a lot of changes to the code since 2009. If you remember back in 2011, we were only updating from 2006 to 2009. So now we're going from 2009, or what we're proposing to go to 2018. There have been a lot of changes since that time. In the residential code, there were 363 additions, clarifications, deletions. The building code had 229, the plumbing code, mechanical code, fuel gas code all had under 100 changes between that time frame. We purchased these are separate manuals that the ICC provides that we bought so that we can have access to what the specific changes are. The graphic on the bottom here shows just an example of some of the changes or what it looks like in the manual to help us understand what the changes are. Most of the changes since that time have been minor and administrative. There's some word changes. Some of the changes are based on new technology. So as new technology changes, the code needs to be updated to be able to allow those new technologies. And as I mentioned, many builders in North Texas are already using the more recent code than 2000. One of the more significant changes that we'd like to talk to you all about is on the swimming pool and spa code. In 2009, this code was included in the IRC and IBC, the building code and the residential code. But since that time, the 2018 code, all this is what it includes on the right, is it just says refer to the International Swimming Pool and Spa Code. So part of that, one of the more significant recommendations for us is to update our ordinance to reflect, that code would be also included. It is our intention to at the next meeting, I guess today's November 16th, we had the last meeting was postponed. That the next meeting we have this the updated building code adopted. So with that, I'd actually like to do something first quick is introduce Larry Bollier. He's our new building official with the city of Sherman. And him and the inspectors have gone through all of the changes and all the tables of changes. And if you have any questions for us about it, we'd be happy to answer your questions.
I'd like to say the statement of thank you for getting on this and taking care of it. That's way too long to wait to update something. So thank you.
And I'd like to ask, I think we ought to do this. Is there anything with us doing this that is going to be an immense hardship, suddenly a surprise hardship to any of the builders who are in our community now?
I don't believe we're gonna have any problem, because this is all just life and safety.
Okay.
And when we put these rules in place and what regulations, the fencing, the safety of the children can get in and overhead wires, come over the rules, you're supposed to have such a setback. So it's not gonna be hardships. Most of the builders around here already in the 2018, have been working in the Dallas area, and I believe even in the Denison area, I think they're in the 2018.
Okay.
So everybody's used to it, we're just the ones kind of behind right now, trying to catch up to it.
I like the idea of updating. I just wondered if this was not only the pool and spa code, but the other ones, that all of a sudden it was going to be, you say they're minor things, but was there anything that?
The way we discuss it, whenever we adopt the new code, is we work with, we don't just say, well, now we're under the 2018, we basically work with the builders and work them into it. Well, that's okay, you can't do it like that.
Fine, that's great.
So we give them a few months because we just run across on different job sites and we start informing them to the 18 to do work.
That's great, thank you.
So obviously this is for new construction stuff, but there are some codes that relate to pre-existing businesses and things that are already there, whether it be the height of the fire extinguisher or something of that nature. What kind of implementation for the pre-existing folks do you have?
They're pretty well fixed with that. Any building built to a code, that was built to the code, the other code, that building is not the same. That's what we know. And the actual guy is not conforming. Pre-existing non-conforming, we don't go in, we want to change all.
That needs to be changes, I guess.
Exactly. And when they do go in and do a complete remodel, then we start going through the new code and make sure that they do work. We don't actually change it.
Hey, Mayor, one of the other things I wanted to point out here, since we're talking about these subjects, are I think particularly over the last year or two, but including most recently, we are trying to use technology better out in the field. So now our guys are carrying their tough books or notebooks or whatever else. If we don't already have it, they've got these manuals. If you print them out, are hundreds of pages thick, but they've got these at their fingertips, and so they're able to pull up resources out in the field. They're able to do their write-ups out in the field to nearly headed towards a real-time sort of approving the specific what do they call them, the green tags, the inspections. And so that's something that 5 years ago we didn't have, but I've been encouraging that department. Hey, we'll spend a little bit of extra money to get them up to speed from a technology standpoint, so that they're not spending their time driving back and forth writing things up. They can do all of that out in the field. So there may be a little bit of expenses that we don't have, that we haven't incurred yet, but that we might over the next few years. I think the code book was one of them that we talked about, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and we've already purchased the hard copy versions of the code books, but getting the PDF versions of the code books is something that I believe we have budgeted already to have, to be able to provide for all of, and we can get 4 licenses for purchase, so that would cover all of our inspections.
So just trying to be more, make better use of technology that we have. It makes their job easier and gives us a better, higher level of service, I think.
Well, and I'd just like to point out, from an industry standpoint, you have these production builders. They have to build this higher standard down in the south. In the same model, when they build it up here, since we don't have these standards, they'll leave out hold downs, hurricane clips, all of these safety equipment the building's already been designed for. And they're not going to include it in the house that they build in Sherman because we don't require it. And it won't be any additional cost to them, except now they'll have to put the equipment that the house has already been designed. So from that standpoint, it's a no-brainer to increase it, because we're just getting safer houses for our citizens and not incurring any extra cost.
So there's no action to take on this other than for us to tell you we'll bring back the ordinances that require that require what we've talked about tonight, and that will be at, I think, the next meeting. So if you guys are open to that, staff sees no reason why we shouldn't bring forth the ordinance. So
Great.
Please do.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Are we doing static pressure tests now for plumbing inspection?
Yeah, on the wall,
Okay.
we're also thinking about even having air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
As far as personnel goes, when we up our standard, inspections are going to take a little bit longer, be a little more time consuming. We anticipating having 600 inspections.
And then we need more personnel.
How many 100 houses a year do you build 1,400 inspectors?
I don't know, next year it's gonna get pretty.
Yeah.
Look, if we see you come budget time, we know it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I would say come before you know you've got to have it. Don't wait.
Okay. Item 3 is authorizing the purchase of equipment for Sherman Fire Department and source law reimbursable to the Texas Department of Emergency Management coronavirus. Good evening, Chief.
Mayor and Council. One thing I wanted to mention before I got talking about this was, I think with the police department, I hadn't heard anything about the HOA fees out in that particular part, and they're real high, so you might want to look into that.
Yes, they're very high.
Right across the street from the fire department. You might want to make sure we don't just let anybody in our neighborhood.
You can't these days.
You don't know the background process. I love them. At the June 1st, 2020 meeting, you, as a city council, accepted a grant that was awarded by the Texas Department of Emergency Management to fund expenditures from coronavirus. At that particular time, it was coronavirus was more of a medical thing. What I mean by that is the majority of our runs were calls with the houses with people who had contracted this virus, and we were transporting them to the hospital and those things. It has evolved now, as you all know, the spike and how many cases that we have now. The chance of exposure to this coronavirus has gone beyond just being in houses, residents, nursing homes, and so forth, to the point of the possibility of being exposed to the coronavirus, let's say a NBA or a motor vehicle accident. In our policies, the way our operations and our people wear their bunker gear, what we call our bunker gear, into those situations of NPAs or the car crashes. That causes a possibility of those items getting exposed to the virus. So that means that they have to be cleaned as soon as possible. It's a highly contagious virus, as you well know. So what we're asking to be able to spend tonight is for equipment to basically provide a second set of this gear that they wear, so that the ones that get contaminated or possibly contaminated can be washed, and these be cleaned and disinfected, and they have another set that they're able to get into. This also includes the boots that go along with it, hoods, and then non-structural firefighting gear, which is basically just the shell of what we use to enter a building or that we wear on these car wrecks. These can be worn over our uniforms so that they would protect our uniforms from the virus, and then those could be cleaned and disinfected. So the total is just over $500,000 that we're going to utilize these funds for with your approval, and this could possibly offset the cost of future equipment that we will need somewhere down the road. So, any questions?
Was this some of the money that Mary may answer is that with the thought that maybe reimbursed or some form of the CARES Act?
They will be.
This will be the direct expense.
Yes, it's reimbursed by. We received about $2.4 million to spend, and then we spend it, and they reimburse us for what we spend. And as we've looked at this, there were many things as we got towards this part of the year, many things that we didn't really think about at that particular time that could be purchased and reimbursed. Anything that had to do with coronavirus and protecting our people from the virus was purchased and be reimbursed for.
We have to make these purchases by December, Mary?
That's right.
Any way to contaminate a fire truck?
If we could get apparatus built in a timely manner, I think that was, we looked at response vehicles as far as what we call a squad. Some of that, you gotta meet certain criteria and things like that, so we went this route.
Any other questions, Council? Discussion?
We still have that big mobile hospital.
I'm sorry?
Mobile hospital.
The ambus?
What is that?
Robbie and I had a discussion with that shortly after he swore me in.
And it was gone shortly after that.
And it was gone by the time I said I do.
Sure like that.
There's some money pit. We've talked about that some other time. Thank you, council.
All right, council. No more questions, comments, we have a motion on this one.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, site plan approval under ordinance 2252, Article 4, Section 2J for Crossroads Medical Hospital in the Blaylock Industrial Park, Blaylock Commercial Overlay District, 221 West Travis Street.
This item is for site plan approval in the Blaylock Industrial Park. P&Z approved this item unanimously 6-0. As you all know, any site plan in Blaylock Industrial Park goes to City Council for approval outside of the consent agenda.
Council, any questions? This request.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, immediate questions?
Hey, Mayor.
Yes.
Just to make sure that it gets on the record correctly, we pulled I-5 off of consent. And so I want to make sure that we properly, we've had a request from the applicant to table this so that they can make some administrative corrections to their replat. So we didn't take action on this yet, did we? Okay.
To officially table it, I was just going to let it come back on the next.
Yeah, you could decide to take no action, and then if the applicant is ready to bring it back before you.
That's what I said.
Okay. So no table, just take no action. Okay.
Very good. All right, Michael, any questions for us? All right, council, we have a list of boards and commissions for appointment. Does anybody want to move around? Can we take these all together and just?
I think we ought to look at moving around our economic development subcommittee. I don't think the same two people need to serve on that each time.
I don't think that falls under this. Yeah, I think that comes out of executive,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, there were no terms set on that particular subcommittee, so these are being presented because we had a swearing in of, albeit the same council members, but every November after an election, these are the ones we would look at for you guys to appoint, the same or different. You can take them in one fell swoop, but we've been advised by our council to maybe read out the board names just so it gets on the record, Airport Advisory Board, Council Audit Committee, et cetera, et cetera. So if you do want to take them all at one time, we'll have either the mayor can identify those or Linda. If you don't want to take them all at one time, then you just roll down the list here.
Okay, but
These are the ones outside of executive session we need to take action on.
these are the ones that are linked to the terms of the council members.
Yes, correct.
What's the airport?
Plus the airport board, which of course has,
Okay, where's on the airport advisory board?
3 reappointments. No, that's what we were saying.
Board members.
All of these except the airport board are council members related.
Okay, so we need to read them all?
Mm-hmm.
We have to read the names too?
For clarification.
No, Mr. President, just the specific committee names.
Linda?
Yeah, we can do it with the swoop after they ask to read them.
Okay.
30 seconds, Linda.
Yeah.
Airport Advisory Board, Council Audit Reinvestment Committee, Tax Reinvestment Committee, Tax Increment Financing Board number 1, Tax Increment Financing Board number 2, Tax Increment Financing Board number 3, Tax Increment Financing Board number 5, Tax Increment Financing Board number 6, and Tax Increment Financing Board number 7.
Thank you. We do have a motion on the table.
And I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you, council.
Your turn. Well, thank you. Just want to tell everybody stay safe.
I want to thank the groups of individuals who put together our Veterans Day Parade. It's a really nice parade. I just wish more people could come out and see the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the individuals who are participating in the parade. You know, it's a nice parade honoring our veterans, and this is the second year I think they've had flyovers. And so I just want to see us get the word out. So either more veterans show up to participate, and maybe more people stand along the road and, you know, salute and say hello to all of our veterans who serve. But it was a great day.
Well, I just have a little quick comment, and I've been up here for a long time. Probably some people would think too long. I've seen a lot of really good projects, a lot of exciting things come to the city, a lot of things that benefit the city. But yeah, I think one of the single most important things is having the removal of the railroad tracks. Someone that drives over that at least twice, 4 times if I come home for lunch. And I don't know who spearheaded that, but it inconvenienced me for 2 days because I had to go around. But it is
Well worth it.
Whoever was involved, I appreciate it. I know it wasn't the road.
I thought Willie was gonna go down the Park Avenue route there, but they're doing stuff there also.
That's me.
We appreciate it. Second most important thing that we've seen happen. No, I'm glad to be back this week. Last meeting I was out, the meeting before that, I'm sorry, because I was having a baby. So, but it's good to be back with you guys and be here and doing city business. Nothing at this point.
No comments, Mr. Mayor.
All right. A couple of announcements this evening. The first one's, please join us Wednesday, November 18th at 10:30 for a ribbon cutting ceremony dedicating West Travis Street an opening for through traffic. This project has been several years in development. Will be an exciting occasion. Finally, calling it complete. The ceremony will be held at the intersection of West Travis Street and Moore Street, interfront FM 1417. And also, the City of Sherman's annual Christmas Parade and Snowflake Festival will be held on Saturday, December 5th. There's still time to enter the parade this year's season's Candyland Christmas. If your group of business is interested in participating, please consider the Snowflake Festival 2020 vendor applications on the city's website. Alright, so City Council will now hold a closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act at section 551.07 when to consult with the city attorney concerning pending or contemplated litigation and on the matter in which the city attorney's duty under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the state bar of Texas is clearly conflicts in this chapter. At section 551.07 to deliberate personnel matters and consider appointments to the SEDCO board, and next section 551.07 to deliberate regarding economic development negotiations. So 5.9. Excuse ourselves into the executive session.
I don't know. Terrence was going to see if he needed that support on the animal. He texted him just in case.
Yeah.